Good morning, just a short video this morning just to try and emphasise the importance and difference between these two words, breathing and respiration. In many cases these words are mixed up. Hospitals and medical staff will often talk about respiration when actually biologically what they mean is breathing. That doesn't mean they're incorrect at all, it just means that we're thinking about the biological definition of these words, and it's important that in the biological definition, when we're talking about it in biology, that we are clear about what we mean. They are very connected with each other, but they do have subtly or importantly different meanings. Okay, so if we think about breathing first of all, what I've drawn here is just a right lung with the trachea and the bronchus and some bronchioles, just to try and re-emphasize to us that during the process of breathing or gas exchange, oxygen is taken in from the air and carbon dioxide is taken out from the body and put back into the air, and this is the process of breathing. And because we are exchanging two gases, we also call this gas exchange. Now don't forget that why this is actually happening is all throughout the lungs, and I'm just drawing it as though it's by the side now, but obviously it's the blood vessels run all the way through the lungs, that we have a blood supply, a very, very rich blood supply, and carbon dioxide is coming out of the blood in the lungs, and oxygen is going into the blood in the lungs. As another piece of information, actually, in the bloodstream there are red blood cells, and these are used to transport oxygen. Oxygen is not a very soluble gas and won't dissolve directly into the blood plasma in the same way that carbon dioxide will. So we actually have red blood cells in there that transport the oxygen around. So just to reconfirm that breathing and gas exchange is the process where oxygen is taken into the lungs and absorbed into the bloodstream by the red blood cells, and carbon dioxide comes out of the bloodstream and goes into the lungs and then gets breathed out in the air that we breathe out. So that is gas exchange or breathing. Medical people, quite correctly for them, will call it respiration often. When we're thinking about sports scientists, it will often be called respiration as well. But for biologists, that word actually has a different meaning, and that's what we need to be very clear about. Respiration is a chemical reaction. We know that it occurs in the mitochondria of every cell in our body, and it's a really important chemical reaction because it's a chemical reaction that takes glucose and reacts it with oxygen. Now that process allows the body and the cells to convert energy from glucose into a usable form. It's actually a form called ATP, but we don't need to worry about that at the moment. But it converts energy from glucose, and it needs oxygen. It produces, as waste products, carbon dioxide and water. Okay, this water is often called metabolic water. So the requirements for these gases, or the requirement for oxygen to be taken in and the requirement for carbon dioxide to be given out, comes as a result of the chemical reaction that is respiration. So this is respiration. So the biological definition of the respiration is the chemical reaction where glucose reacts with oxygen to make carbon dioxide and water. This isn't a balanced chemical equation. I'm just using it to try and illustrate the difference. So if I was going to summarize this, I would say that respiration is a chemical reaction between glucose and oxygen in the mitochondria of every cell. Gas exchange and breathing are or is where oxygen and carbon dioxide is exchanged in the lungs, and obviously there is a bloodstream involved in that. That's all we need to do for today. If you want to have a look at the notes, if you want to take any notes, I will leave that first page there, and then the second part of the page there. Thank you very much.